Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Diana Kelly. I'm the cybersecurity field CTO here at Microsoft, and you're listening to My Cyber Why. This is a discussion with some of the most fascinating people in cybersecurity to better understand what they do and why they do it. So we want to demystify a lot of what's happening in cyber and also to take some of the scary out. Sure, there are criminals out there, but there are also some great people doing great work every day. And today, one of those great people that I'm speaking with today is Phoram Mehta. He is the Director and Head of Information Security for PayPal in Asia Pac. Welcome and thank you for being here, Phoram.
Thank you. Wow.
All right. So Phoram, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at PayPal?
Sure, everybody. My name is Phoram, and as you mentioned, I'm part of the information security organization here at PayPal. And for a company that operates in 200 plus markets with 56 currencies, what we are trying to do is make moving and managing money easier every day. And APAC is the growth strategy in general for digital commerce, but specifically for PayPal. And I'm fortunate enough to be helping enable the business from a trust and a security perspective in my current role as the head of InfoSec for PayPal in Asia Pacific.
Do you see, having worked both in the United States and in the Asia Pac area, do you see significant differences in security in general, or either how security is approached or in the kinds of attacks that are levied against users?
I mean, in general, there is a difference from an approach perspective, right? In US, because of the advent from a technology perspective and how people were interested both in terms of use as well as abuse in leveraging technology advancements to further whatever agenda they had, certainly came first as both, as innovation as well as the being target of attacks. In APAC, certainly because of the attack surface being sort of limited, we are now finally seeing a lot of it that was happening in the US a few years ago and in the Western economies in general being perpetrated, in APAC. What is interesting to see is APAC has a lot of, on one hand, catching up to do, but they can learn a lot more from US and other Western economies that have learned it the hard way from a regulatory perspective, from a standardization perspective, from compatibility otherwise. Where now they are leading the front in creating good, solid regulations that are more balanced between business, innovation, as well as fraud and risk and security.
Do you think that there's a possibility sort of almost of a leapfrogging in some countries, in some areas where they maybe adopted the internet a little bit more slowly, mobile phones got into everybody's hands a little bit more slowly, but now they're setting regulations in a very different technical reality?
Certainly. I mean, exactly like you mentioned, right? The word leapfrogging is certainly happening. I mean, they completely bypass the the PCs and cable and internet access to mobile, and commerce is leveraging that trend. And if you think from again, from a growth perspective for PayPal, which is more than 40% of our business happens on mobile phones, and hence, it's a good opportunity to create more and more better product customer experiences in these economies. That also means that the attacks are slightly different, and hence having a strong foundation in some of the solid regulations is important, but it also is a good opportunity for security professionals to think a little bit freshly in terms of how do we create the right type of foundations for the next level of applications that will drive growth and adoption of technology to improve lives of people that live in this area. Yeah,
fascinating. So that sounds a little bit why some of the why. What's the passion? What drove you? Why did you get into cybersecurity in the first place? And why do you stay?
Fortunately, again, enough, I've always had a career that started with they followed the OSI stack, so starting in networking and helping people set up their firewalls and networks and policies and procedures and databases in both sides of the fence, from a corporate side as well as consulting. And then, when it was time to kind of look for a balance between family, career, and the passion, PayPal was a perfect opportunity to first do a little bit of more architecture, and then take on this role to, I guess, get to layer 8 and see how, now that we have a strong foundation, can we help further enable the business and make a use case why trust plays such an important function in how people use and leverage technology for their businesses, for their personal lives, for managing their money, and so on and so forth. So again, I've been incredibly lucky to be able to practice my passion day in and day out in an industry, at a company, in a region that kind of all makes it all, waking up every day and going to work, a fun and a really rewarding experience.
Yeah, it's interesting. A similar path for me. I started as I started as a network guy, and then I realized no matter what I did down at the lower layers, I still was getting, they were getting in on layer 7 and at the app layer. But you use something called the layer 8, and I think that may be the first time I've heard of it. What do you mean by that?
So that's the business, right? That's the people,
Oh, okay, okay.
right? Just understanding, so going beyond the traditional stack, and
Yeah.
then understanding why we make certain decisions that we do. I mean, looking at all the breaches that are coming out, looking at how companies make certain decisions, whether to invest or not invest in strong cyber hygiene. All of them are fascinating problems, and I think it's just the beginning of cybersecurity becoming so mainstream and critical part of everybody's lives, again,
Yeah.
as a business, as an individual, as an industry, as a government, all of that. And we feel privileged to be able to influence in some ways, both as a company perspective, but as an individual who has been practicing and has seen the journey that I think the technology has taken over time, and how we can kind of transform businesses and transform lives, right?
Yeah, it's true. I used to have to explain, and sometimes I would just even try to explain to people what I did for a living. And now it seems like cybersecurity is on everybody's, everybody knows the word, but there's still this confusion about, and actually that's what this whole series is about, because it scares so many people, and yeah,
It's a
it
huge
shouldn't, but it's touching everybody's lives now. Okay, so given that, how would you like people to engage or think about security? So if there's one thing that you left people with about where they could learn more information, or what you wish that they were thinking about or doing, what would that be?
So increasingly, I mean, I think this is a challenge that the industry has from a talent perspective. So rather than going purely from a just user perspective, I would think that we would have more and more people take interest in it, especially the 50% of the population, the women and others who traditionally don't enter the field, either because of you know the guys that are in it and that have created the impression that it is a hard science, or it is, the jobs are really difficult to do, or some other thing. But in general, what I would hope, and both in terms of what people should do, but also where we can play a role, is to enable learning of security as early in the school, high schools, or even grade schools if possible, and then updating the curriculum where universities, community colleges allow individuals to take part in it, and create both the workforce, but also enable and leverage this huge potential that we have. I mean, I really think that it has reached that mainstream point where everybody should think of cybersecurity as a career. As some of automation disrupts some of the jobs, I think it'll become, and digitization takes over our lives. Security is going to play an extremely critical role, right, in different ways, in different areas. And I really think that education and academia really provides that important balance in the supply and demand that is going on in the industry. We need good people that not only understand technology, but understand the business and can work with other people, understand the global aspect of cybersecurity, the borderless aspects especially, and help in general the profession grow. Yeah.
Yeah, completely agree. There are so many jobs, and we need so many different skill sets in cyber that, yeah, it's heartbreaking that it's still actually challenging to get diversity and inclusion in the field. But I think we'll get there. I think we're on the right track. I hope.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. This has been a fantastic conversation. I'm really grateful for your time, and I'm grateful for everybody who was here and listened. And we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Stay safe. Bye bye.